you use to fertilise the bonsais?
Generally just a slow release fertiliser. It's called sea mungus,
Okay.
which you can just get from Bunnings.
Yeah.
We do that every 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
And then we also do a liquid fertiliser, so
Yeah.
just like a power feed or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We do that every 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what was the name of the slow release again?
Sea mungus.
Sea mungus.
Yeah. It's a big like turquoise bag from Bunnings.
And that's the little turquoise.
No, so it's actually like it's more like a palette. Yeah, but it's like a dark palette. Yeah. And that just sort of breaks down eventually, and as you water it, just soaks into the root ball. Yeah. So that's a good, slow release one.
Yeah.
But then we sort of top it up with a liquid fertilizer as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries at all.
You repotting that one?
No, we repotted it about a month ago. Just putting some moss on and just some top dressing, just to make it present a little bit nicer and that, yeah.
So how did they go from like the pots there
Mm-hmm.
and then go to like such a shallow pot? You have to cut the roots.
Yeah. We'll pretty much halve that root ball to begin with, and then you'll gradually decrease the size of the root ball.
Then for it to rely on the...
Yeah. Particularly with conifers, you can't cut off too much because it needs, roughly about 30% of the original root ball. But that 30% always changes as it settles in to each new pot. For instance, this one, you could probably halve that again in terms of shallowness or size of the pot. But then a deciduous, you can pretty much bare root a lot of them. Flat cut them, cut all the roots off, put it in new soil in a pot, and it'll continue to grow. It's almost just like foliage pruning, but just of the roots, and just obviously not as often. Yeah.
So how often would you need to repot something like that?
Something like this, we'd probably go every 2 years, maybe 3 years. Deciduous, maybe once every 1 or 2 years. It really just depends on the tree and how vigorous it is. The younger deciduous stuff obviously grows so much quicker and more vigorous, so that really fills out that pot quite quickly. Whereas some of like the older conifers that we have in there, the more advanced trees, we might not repot them for 5 or 6 years. Just because they're slower growing, they're generally in a bigger pot, and they don't like their roots to be touched quite as much as the younger stuff. So you have to be a little bit more careful with the advanced trees.
We've got a little maple tree at the moment.
Yep.
Japanese maple. And it's obviously only about 4 inches by about 3 the pot.
Yep.
And the tree is probably on size, maybe it's probably a bit bigger than that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Not sure. I suppose if I should put a bigger pot in it yet. It's a couple of years old already.
Yep. How long has it been in the pot that it's been in?
A couple of years.
Yeah, okay. You probably could. In terms of like pot size, if that's the size of the tree, how big is the pot then? Maybe a bit closer to the white one behind it?
Probably around more of that at the moment.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe a little bit small in width.
Yeah. You can always just pull it out and have a look at the root ball and see how full it is. And if it's...
I did that already, yeah.
You have?
Trimmed a little bit.
Yeah, it could probably go maybe another year in that size pot. And then I would probably say maybe end of winter, look at...
It's growing all right.
Yeah, well that's good, yeah. The thing with deciduous things is that they will just keep growing and growing.
I've wired it so, it can branch down.
Yeah, awesome, yeah. You will find that they'll start to lose a lot of colour, and the percolation of the water into the root ball will stop, and instead of draining through the soil, you'll see it just sit on top and then just run off the side of the pot.
Yeah, I've got moss on top of mine.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, that'll help it retain the moisture.
Yeah, it's still holding it.
Yeah.
Going over the top yet.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise maybe leave it another year, because you can see the size that we've got that one in, and that would probably be every 2 years that we would repot a tree of that size into that pot. So.
It's more branches.
Yeah. If you're not sure, just leave it an extra year, and then maybe assess it then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
Are you
you Shawn?
I am, yes. How you doing, mate?
Adam, I think we've almost met.
I think we have a couple of times just in passing. Yeah. You too? Yeah.
Last week, Bo got the 3 big red pines in.
Yep.
And so had those 2 cedars.
Yeah,
One of those has gone in. And
Yep.
then there's, the other one's going in this next week. And
Awesome.
yeah, so
it's looking good.
Oh, mate,
Yeah.
it's looking unbelievable.
Yeah,
So-
awesome. Because he was saying that it's quite a nice property and quite a nice sort of setup that you've got going there. So
I've sort of really built in like infrastructure, like proper infrastructure with like big planters and
yep.
pretty oversized
There you go.
boxes. That's a mate of mine, Andy.
Yeah.
This is Shawn.
Nice to meet you.
And,
How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
like proper irrigation, and obviously Bo set it all up with like really good aggregate, like
Yep.
drainage and
Yep.
everything else. So yeah, I'm just super excited.
Yeah, cool.
Really good.
Yeah,
Really
sick.
good.
Oh, that's
So,
good. Yeah.
but I'll
Do you have any photos or anything of it yet, or?
I probably do. Like they're probably not the best ones.
Yep.
Because
it's
I was taking them for other reasons.
obviously Jeff sort of described it and you're describing it, but until you sort of see a photo, it doesn't really click.
They're probably not like the best because
No, that's
not,
fine. Yeah.
You kind of got to zoom in because like that's more of a distance. This is just the western side.
Okay, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a whole top 8th floor.
Yeah.
This is just the western side. There's like a 6-metre water feature on there.
Oh,
This is sort of
beautiful.
basically just the back corner.
Yeah,
You
right.
can see the buxus, one of the red pines.
Yeah.
And then down there's the cedar down the back, and there's another
nice.
red pine back in that corner.
In that corner.
But then it wraps around like to the full like south face city side.
Okay. Yep.
See if I can find one of the city views. It's been a labour of love though. I bought it before COVID, and I've just been chipping away, and that's a real labour of love. But yeah, I was saying to Jeff, like definitely should get some shots like when it's all done. 'Cause,
Yeah, definitely.
It really shows off what you can do with some of the more like advanced things like red pines and cedars.
And people probably don't necessarily think of putting more established trees up in a setting like that as well.
It is it so much because
Yeah.
it is quite kind of masculine and kind of concretey.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you add water and lots of greenery, it's like just
softens it.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, no, that looks good. Yeah,
cool. Well, good to properly meet you.
Yes,
'cause
you
I've
too.
Almost met
Yeah.
you like a few times.
Nah, that's fine, mate. No stress.
All right, have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy the ride down. Hi there. How you doing? Good. How you doing, mate?
How's it going?
Good. I'll sort of show you our section where we keep some developing trees, some trees that aren't quite ready for the retail shop yet, a few other bits and pieces. So I'll just flip the camera. So this is some of the stuff that we have. A lot of it is for sale, some of it's not. Really just depends on what it is. Some nice Cascade junipers there. But I shall grab this client's tree, which is this one here. Nice little trident forest. Bring it down to our little workstation. And we'll start working on it. Shouldn't be a long job, just a quick prune. It's going into a larger pot. As you can see, it's already leafed out quite extensively and has good growth on it. Before we do any sort of work on a tree, before you get the clippers out, the branch cutters out, you always want to give it a good look over. See what you're working with, see what definitely needs to come out straight away. Now, we sort of had a quick go over it with the client when they brought it in, have a good understanding of what needs to be done. I think either way sort of works as the front. I personally would lean a little bit more towards having the 2 trees at the front rather than the 3 there, just so it sort of invites you in to the composition rather than it sort of blocking you out, if that makes sense. So I might work with this as the front. It probably doesn't look any different on the camera, but I think that's where we'll start. So, like I said, I've already gone over the requirements with the client. We bring it down in size, but it is going into a bigger pot, so we can keep some of that height. And then it's just a matter of bringing some of these extra branches out, creating a little bit more, I guess, shape and design into the composition, rather than just everything going straight up. So I think we can start going for it. I think we can go ahead and start putting some wire on now. This left side is a little bit weaker. You can tell actually even by how green this side is too. We're back again on a different day, so we still just need to repot it. We've got the pot ready to go. It's just getting it out of this pot for now. But you can see that it's like a bag shape. So we just get a sickle. We don't want to really use it like a saw. We just want to gently dig in to the soil around the pot, and eventually it'll just displace the soil almost. Rather than trying to cut through roots, you just want to cut through the soil essentially. So you'll notice I'm just using a back and forth motion. I'm not using it like a saw up and down. Sometimes as well it helps just to tip it on an angle so the soil doesn't end up just falling back into the pot. Particularly once you get a little bit lower and start, really digging in to the bottom of the pot. So I don't know if you can see that, but we are starting to just make a gap between pot and root ball. So I think now it should just pop out. So you can see straight away what was sitting in that bag section, which is very nice roots. Pot already has the mesh and tie-ins in it, so we'll get rid of the old ones, and then we're pretty much just going to put it straight in as is. We're not going to touch anything. Bring in the new pot, and we'll just see how it sits in there for now, which I think is going to sit in there really nicely, and we're not going to have to touch anything else. It's honestly pretty much perfect to just sit right in there. Loosely tighten it for now, just get it set in its position, which I think is pretty much spot on as is. And then we can start to fill in around the edges. So it's not really going anywhere now, and now we can start to fill. Putting a new soil around the edges here. We'll just put a layer to begin with. We'll chopstick that in just to get a nice good base of fresh soil. Make sure we're filling in any spots that are lifting up on the edge of the original root ball. I'm not using any fancy bamboo for this. This is literally a bamboo chopstick from our supermarket. think that's pretty good. We'll clean up that top layer. Thought that I would show you the pots that I picked up from the show on the weekend. So this is a nice oval. Really nice patina. You can see that age on the finish. So I think that one's around 33 centimeters, and now we've got this little guy. Not sure if that shows quite well enough in the video. Really nice small pot for either a really small show hen or some sort of accent plant. We're just going to go through and defoliate big chunky trident. Give it a little spin. So we cut a lot of big branches off during winter, so a lot of these elongations that we're going to leave, that you can see like up here, we're actually going to leave them just to try and help promote growth in those areas. You know, something like this we're just going to leave too. But we're pretty much just going to go through and just do a slight defoliation. Just bring it back in a little bit, particularly in what's going to be the apex, which is right here. So we want to keep that nice and compact. We don't need too much more growth there. It's pretty much the rest of the tree that needs developing. You can see this branch right there, and probably this one too. We'll get rid of any shoots that we don't necessarily want. So ones that are placed weirdly or adjacent to other better placed shoots. So that's the front there. We've just opened it up nicely, got rid of a lot of the bigger leaves. You'll still see some big leaves on the branches that we left, like here and here. So we got another Japanese maple. We're just going to go do the same thing. Semi-defoliation, rid of all the elongated shoots, and basically just picking out all the rather large leaves and bring it back into shape. So this one's all done now. You see the difference that makes in letting air and light through.